All right, welcome everybody to the first online electric toasters Toastmasters meeting. This is also the first meeting of 2021. So the logical theme is new beginnings. It's a new beginning for the club, the first of the year, and it's a new beginning for this club as an online meeting environment, in an online meeting environment. And I'd like to start us off today with the Pledge of Allegiance. I have a small flag here that I believe, is oriented the right way. You guys can all see this. So if you would all mute yourselves and please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to go ahead and take the Toastmaster role this morning, and therefore I don't need to roll this over to anybody but myself. I already mentioned that the theme of the meeting is new beginnings. We have an opportunity with this club now to explore what direction we want to go. We are obviously taking this online, and through an online means we have the opportunity to expand our membership quite a bit through areas outside of our general small populace that would normally attend a physical meeting. For instance, the evening meeting, as you all know, the Cascade Speakeasy meeting has members that join from well outside of the area that wouldn't normally attend a meeting in person. What we want to focus on this year is we want to focus on building membership. As we can see right now, we've got somebody just joined. Hey, Steve. So we've got 9 of us here this morning. And I know there's at least one other member, one other electric toaster member that's not with us this morning, but it's a pretty small membership. It's just enough to keep this club going. So the New Year's resolution for this club is to build membership, get us a little bit beyond this just breaking even membership number to keep the club in good standing with Toastmasters. We also are going to be starting a new project, which is our Vicky's leading up, which is the Speechcraft project. And Vicky, I'll let you talk more about that later on when you have the opportunity to. At this point, I'd like to turn this meeting over to our Toastmaster, our general evaluator, which is Matt Parsons. Matt, welcome back.
Morning, everyone. Good to be back. This morning, I will be the general evaluator, and we have a team of people. And I might have missed, I know we got one filled in. Let me see if I got this right. Lloyd, you're being the evaluator 1. And then do we have an evaluator 2?
Mary is evaluating for Kelly.
Got it. All right. Thank you. And then I heard that Ron was the odd counter and grammarian this morning. And then James is on the schedule as timer, I believe. So, okay. I got filled all that in. So I'll be providing the general evaluation of the meeting as a whole. And then we have this team of people, which I just mentioned, and they will be evaluating specific components of the meeting. And so first, I'll turn it over to Lloyd to talk about what he will be doing.
Thank you, Matt. This morning, Mary's speech is from her innovative planning path. She's working on level 4. The project is called Manage Project Successfully. Her goal is to give a report or present a plan. I'm sorry, this is a complex project. It's got 2 components to it that are speeches and then several other things as well that she has to do. But she was supposed to form a team of 3 to 4 people, choose a project to begin, create a plan for the project, and present the plan. And this morning she will be presenting the plan in a speech Mr. Timer, that his speech is 2 to 3 minutes. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Lloyd. And Mary, could you tell us what you'll be doing as evaluator number 2?
I'd be glad to. I will be evaluating Kelly Cordell's speech today. Kelly is giving her icebreaker speech. She's working on the dynamic leadership pathway. The purpose of this speech is for the member to introduce herself to the club and to learn the basic structure of public speaking. Timer, Kelly's speech will be 4 to 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mary. Ron, could you tell us what you will be doing as the counter and grammarian this morning?
Sure can, Matt. As counter, I'll be keeping track of those filler words that make their way into our speeches, such as the us, ums, ers, ands, buts, so's, likes, you knows, and repetitions. As grammarian, I will try to identify grammar, both good and not so good, that folks have used throughout the meeting. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Ron. Finally, James, can you tell us what you'll be doing as timer?
As a timer, I will be timing the speech. It's important to time speech just so they're cleaner and leaner and they have the critical items, and also keeps the audience more engaged. Nobody likes it when you go over too long. So for Kelly's icebreaker at 4 minutes, I will show this beautiful green piece of paper. At 5 minutes, I will show the yellow. And at 6, I will show this beautiful, we'll say this is red. For table topics, it'll be green, 1 minute, yellow, 1.5, and then red 2. And then Mary's speech will be green 2 minutes, 2.5, 3. And the same for the evaluation. Evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. They'll follow that same format. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, James. At this point, I'll turn it back over to our Toastmaster, Ian.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Matt and Ron. At this point, I'm going to welcome Mary up. Mary.
Thank you, Ian. The pandemic took a toll on Toastmaster clubs worldwide. Many clubs have had to suspend operations, but the risk in doing so is that they will never regroup. The leadership team of our Wenatchee Toastmasters clubs did not want to see that happen. So Electric Toasters and Cascade Speakeasy weathered the pandemic together. But Electric Toasters really needed to unbuckle themselves from the speakeasy and return to the morning format. I saw this as an opportunity. Facilitating the return home of the Electric Toasters was perfect for the Manage Project Successfully project. Serving as a project manager, I enlisted Ian Adams, president, and Lloyd Smith, who's our area director and club coach, as my initial advisory team. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, today I will summarize the project plan for the Electric Toasters Club Growth Project, ET Come Home. Every project must have a goal, and that goal must be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Our goal: Electric Toastmasters will increase membership to 12 members by April 1st, 2021. We currently stand at 8 members, which, as Ian pointed out, is the minimum number for maintaining our club charter. This is just a gain of 4 members over the period of 3 months. I think it's attainable. To achieve a goal, you need to define the objectives, that is, how you're going to do it. Our first objective was to resume meetings on a regular basis, and here we are. Our second objective is to create a sustainable marketing plan, and our third objective is that Speechcraft will be the primary but not the only method of recruiting new members. When I had approval from my team of the goals and objectives, I enlisted Kelly Cordell, Vice President of Public Relations, and Vicki Chatterton to join the team. Kelly, as our Vice President of Public Relations, is developing a plan that allows us to have sustainable marketing, not just crisis motivated marketing. So she's developing a social media, local outreach, handouts and flyers for us to distribute and let the community know about our clubs. Vicki Chatterton will be managing a Speechcraft event. And if you've never heard of Speechcraft, this is an opportunity for a Toastmaster Club to present the fundamentals of public speaking to non-members. Both Kelly and Vicki are working to recruit members, and we will be hosting a 6-week Speechcraft event. Wenatchee needs 2 Toastmaster clubs, one to serve the evening crowd and one for the early birds. The important takeaway here is that Electric Toasters needs to have an ongoing plan for member recruitment, and we need to work on this as a group. Wenatchee's big enough to support 2 Toastmaster clubs. Let's see what we can get done in the next 3 months. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Mary. At this point, I would like to take a minute to process our thoughts and let Mary know what she thought of her speech. Ron, would you please put a minute on the clock while we send those comments to Mary?
That would be James.
That's time.
All right, our second speaker this morning is Kelly Cordell, a member that we haven't seen quite a while. Welcome back, Kelly. Kelly, please commence with your icebreaker.
Here we go. Hey, I'm live. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm Kelly Cordell, for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do know me, many of you know me through the club, the Electric Toasters Club. I've been a member of the Electric Toasters since before we chartered in March of 2009. And I did take a little bit of a break to focus on some other projects, but I am back and I am super excited for the Electric Toasters, the ET come home, phone home. I guess I'm on my phone. So I'm really looking forward to helping all of you meet your goals in 2021 and beyond, as I'm serving this session as role of VP of Education and VP of PR. So you will see emails from me. I'll be sending out signups and agendas for you every week. I would like to connect with each one of you to see how we all can support you in your Toastmasters goals. So look for an email from me soon. So where have I been the last year or so? Oh my gosh. So although I'm still working at Chelan County PUD in Wenatchee, I had moved to Moses Lake in spring of 2016, and I was it's hard to get to the meetings at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that kind of fell to the wayside, and I started to kind of focus on some other projects. In 2018, I opened a retail business. And so I've been working really hard on getting that to grow and flourish and become a profitable little thing. So a year ago, we actually kind of sat down, we did a little bit of math, and my boyfriend was going to change careers. And so that kind of necessitated a move to Quincy for us. And that allowed him to go ahead and make that leap, and it reduced my commute, which I am so thankful for. His job does take him out of town quite a bit. I see him a couple times a week, actually. So I am the sole caretaker of our livestock, which is why we moved to Moses Lake. We have several horses and a mini donkey, and he hates winter, by the way. He's very unhappy right now. And also this past March, I began raising beef cattle. So in the middle of raising a few bottle baby bovines, which I've actually never done before, so bit of a learning curve there, my boyfriend was seriously injured in a workplace accident. So the accident is actually a story I'm going to leave for another time, but he required surgery and he was out of work for 4 months. But thankfully, he has kind of recovered and he's at least back to work now. But from May through September, I learned how difficult and exhausting a caregiver role could be. Add in rural living, global pandemic, full-time work, a new retail business, kids, and now livestock scattered across 3 counties. Looking back, I have no idea how I managed it all, but I did. The experience was frightening and life-changing, and ultimately made us realize how short life is and how we'd like to be spending our time going forward. 2021 will certainly bring us more change, that we know for sure. And I'll guarantee that we'll have more livestock. But what I'm really seeking out of 2021 is some growth. I feel like 2020 kind of put everything on the back burner. I am so grateful for this club, which allows us all a sandbox of sorts for practicing different roles and responsibilities, methods and programs. And I always learn so much from all of you. Just your methods of speaking and the way you handle things. And it's just such a wonderful and rich environment. And I am really looking forward to just being here again with you. After surviving 2020, where expecting the unexpected became the norm, I'm looking forward to the regularity and the consistency of these meetings, which will provide us all with the growth that we can count on. So I hope you will connect with me and we can all grow together. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kelly. Timer, James, would you please give us a minute on the clock?
Isn't it interesting during Zoom meetings how we have these pregnant pauses? I noticed that in our office meetings as well. Somebody will talk about something and everybody will have this deer in headlights look on their face. you know they're engaged, but it's certainly changed the way in which we seem to interact with one another in a group setting.
That was time.
Thanks, James. Now we're going to enter into the portion of the meeting that is designed to allow us to think and speak on our feet. Vicki Chatterton will lead us through table topics this morning, where she'll ask us various questions, likely associated with the theme of the meeting, and we'll have a short opportunity to answer her questions with cognitive thinking. Everyone, please welcome Vicki Chatterton.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be back together as a group, and I'm very excited for our new beginnings. 2021 is going to offer us a chance to perhaps have a new better, something that we never thought was possible, but is possible now in 2021. And Matt, I would like to know what your feelings are about the new environment of virtual. Has work become virtual for you as well? What other things have become virtual for you as a new beginning? Matt.
Thanks, Vicki. Right now I'm working from home, and we've done that sort of on and off since the beginning of the pandemic, and become more acquainted with virtual chats and how to make those work well. As most of you know, I work at the city, and so we've been conducting our public meetings since I think June is when we started it with Planning Commission, and City Council never stopped. Well, City Council was in person, but anyway, figuring out how to do those over video is kind of an interesting thing, as is a challenge with any type of meeting, but there's some additional things when they're a public meeting. I think all of this time with video chat and other similar tools, I think in the end will be a positive. It's not necessarily the best thing right now. Well, it is the best thing because of the pandemic, but I think the competency that we're all gaining with this, I think in my work, I think it's going to be a positive to have that in our toolbox. And for example, I think I look forward to more live streaming of meetings and things that people, if they can't attend a meeting in person, can be there. I think there's some things like that they'll be positive, and if everyone can just feel more comfortable with this sort of thing, it makes it easier to get together and connect, even though in person is always going to be the best, and I think we're always going to appreciate that. I think these skills that we're developing will serve us all well in the future once the pandemic's all done. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Good to see you. Welcome back. All right. With children, sometimes they're not aware that things have changed in such a significant way. James, how have your children and how have you been dealing with the whole COVID change and helping them with new beginnings and getting through this? And I will time you. I have cards and everything, so don't worry about timing. So James, how are you helping your kids with new beginnings within this pandemic?
That's a great question, Vicki. We were actually kind of struggling with that. One of the reasons that I haven't been going to meetings is my youngest daughter is suffering from depression from the, I guess, COVID, being locked up, whatnot. So we're seeing a psychiatrist about once a week, or once or twice a week. It's interesting kind of process, learning a lot. It's kind of funny to learn about that. And how she acts like when she's out versus when she's home. I don't see the depression really. So I'm kind of like, what's going on? She seems, normal to me. So we're working through that. Some of the stuff we're trying to do is just stay up on homework. One of the things is we're all working from home, my whole family. So myself, my wife, my 2 daughters, my stepson's here. He works, but then he goes to school also. So he's here quite a bit. It's finding that quiet place in the house is kind of difficult. So right now, basically, they're both my daughters lock themselves in the room. If you don't know, my wife's a speech therapist for children that are birth to 3, and she's downstairs. So she's downstairs echoing through the house, singing songs, etc. So that's why the girls have decided to lock themselves in the room. That's a challenge in itself, getting them to get up at a certain time. The oldest one is better, a little more focused. The youngest one, like I said, a little bit of depression, a new school, she's a 6th grader, so she's in middle school. So that's been a challenge. And so, yeah, we'll walk in there at 8:30 and they're, they don't have to get dressed. Hell, you guys are lucky I'm dressed. So they're rolling out of bed at 8:30 to go to school at 8:40. So we've been working through that too. And then you go in there at like 10 o'clock at night, or not 10 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock in the morning, and her room is just pitch black. And so we're like, no, you got to have a light on. We bought her a desk. And so we're doing some things and working through that. And we're actually looking forward to the hybrid learning. Madam Toastmaster or Tabletop Master?
Great. Thank you so much, James. Yes, they say that the different phases of COVID, and that one of the phases is that we're going to have to deal with the mental issues of everything that's going on. So yeah, my thoughts are with you. We now have a vaccine. Steve, do you think that the vaccine is a new beginning to getting things back to a new better?
One has to believe that the peace that comes with knowing that you're going to dodge a bullet receiving that vaccine is going to once again open the door to interaction. I was questioning the vaccine, and it was kind of silly. I guess I probably knew the answer, but I asked it anyway. If you get the vaccine and suddenly you're exposed to others who have COVID, do you become a carrier and potentially share it with others? Apparently the answer is no, you don't. The vaccine helps put on the armor that deflects the viral bullets from impacting you and being something that you can now be a carrier on. Clearly that means that we're going to have the opportunity to begin to interact again. I think it's interesting to hear the people who are the black helicopter like people who are, that vaccine, there's going to be stuff in there that's going to affect our future because of the man imposing his portion of content in that virus. That's kind of crazy. I imagine myself being one of the last people to get that vaccine. I tended to be healthy. I think I've gotten one whole flu shot in my life. Not that I'm truly wanting to tempt fate, but I'll let everybody else get going on it. People who are more concerned and more vulnerable, and let them begin to interact. And I will look forward to us all ultimately being able to get back out in the world and resuming some semblance of normal, whatever that might look like going into the future. The vaccine definitely is going to be a boost towards a new beginning, a new beginning. Yeah. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over. I'm not sure how long our evaluation portion will take, so I just want to leave us enough time for everything that we need to finish up. Thank you all for participating in Table Topics. Back to you, Ian.
Thanks, Vicki. Great set of questions there. I'm going to roll this right over to Matt, our general evaluator, to kick off the evaluation portion of this morning's meeting. Matt, please take it away.
Thanks, Ian. This is the evaluation portion of the meeting, and I'll start by calling up our team to give their evaluations. The first one is Lloyd with the first speech evaluation.
Thank you, Matt. As is the case with every pathway speech, there is an evaluation form that can be extracted from the site. So I'm just going to use the form since it fits Mary's speech perfectly. This kind of a speech, a 2 to 3 minute speech, it's counterintuitive, but writing a good short speech is much, much more difficult than writing a good long speech. It requires extreme compression. And in Mary's case, this is a big, big project she's undertaken. And so that need for compression was even greater. And Mary pulled it off almost perfectly, I think. What did you excel at? So first question. As usual, all of your speeches are this way, but you come across as authoritative, extremely knowledgeable, but at the same time personable. You know, that all of us know a lot of people who are experts at things, but they act like experts, if you see what I mean. You know, they come across as being conceited almost. But Mary always avoids that. That personable touch is really important, because when you're asking people to get to do something, they have to want to do it, and feeling good or feeling guilty about saying no to somebody as nice as Mary is a big issue, you know. So it's a key thing. For those of you who don't know it, by the way, Mary has significant professional experience as a project manager. So that's going to pay dividends, I think. Second thing you excelled at was explaining the goals, both the goals as a general thing and the specific goals for the project. Here again, there wasn't time to get into the detail, but I thought that it was adequate for the purpose here. And then finally, you excelled at explaining the process that you have in mind for the club. The one thing you may want to work on was actually a result of the lack of time, and that is the details of the plan, exactly what it is we're going to do. But there wasn't any way for you to do that in a 2 to 3 minute speech. And that's actually what the second speech is going to be about. To challenge yourself, just continue work on the project. This is an important project, as Ian mentioned in his introduction, and as you mentioned in your speech. It's also an attainable project, though. Kelly and I are the only two people here who remember this, but back in 2010 or 11, when I first made contact with the electric toasters, Kelly showed me an email she got from Toastmasters International that contained a death threat to the club. It was down to just 5 members, and that the email said basically, you got to get to that minimum of 6 or you're done for. Well, we did it. And within a year, we were up at 12 and we're select distinguished. It can be done. And I have a lot of confidence that with Mary running this little project, it's going to be done. And of course, if it doesn't work, we have someone to blame now. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lloyd. And now I'd like to call up our evaluator number 2, our evaluator for speech number 2, Mary.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Lloyd. Somebody to blame. I'm used to that as a project manager as well. Yes, it all rolls up. It all rolls up. But I'm here to talk about Kelly's speech. Kelly, so nice to see you again. This was a lot of fun to hear from you. You noted in your speech that you've been missing from the Toastmaster meetings for a while, and I like that you stuck to that theme. All of us are interested in, you know, where you've been, curious as to what you've been doing. Hope everything's okay. You've had some ups and downs in the last few years, but you had our attention and we really wanted to hear from you. I like too that you plugged the Toastmasters organization. That's appropriate for this meeting, is where you've been. You may not be here in person, but you've been here in spirit, and you've been very supportive of our Electric Toasters Toastmaster Club. And you address both those topics. I really like that. And physically, I like your background. I think you've been doing a little Zoom work because you had a good, you know, non-distractive background, and your lighting was good. I expected that'd be something that I could pull on to say, yeah, you got to improve in this, but no, it looked really good. Your expressions were warm, they were friendly and inviting. you were relaxed and you actually seemed anxious to get on the stage and to deliver your speech. It was like you're happy to be home again with Electric Toasters. I have some suggestions. Your vocal variety was a bit sing-songy. Women do that a lot, kind of like this. And that's just a habit to break and something to listen for. But you did have a lot of good vocal variety. It's just that sing-song that we all fall into sometimes. And try a little movement as you change topics. You were pretty much in one spot, maybe get a little closer, far away, do a little left and right, play the camera to your advantage. That brings variety into your presentation. I thought the conclusion could have been tightened up a little bit more, but still you hearkened back to the introduction in your conclusion. So it did tie your presentation nicely. So Kelly, it's great to see you, great to hear from you again. And I look forward to working with you in your role as a club officer over the next few months. We'll see what we can do to inspire Electric Toasters and bring us all back together. Thanks for speaking today, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Mary. At this point, I'll turn to, now we'd like to hear from Ron as the Counter and Grammarian today.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Everyone kept me pretty busy for those from the Electric Toasters that haven't been attending Cascade Speakeasy, and I need to brush up on those counter or on those filler words. And I'll admit myself, I've actually gotten worse with the the filler words, even attending the Cascade Speakeasy. I'm not sure what that's been all about, but I certainly have something to work on in 2021 also. I'm not going to go through the specifics for everybody. I can just share that there is a mix of uhs and ums, ands, buts, so's, several you knows, a handful of kindas, some all rights, an I guess, a yeah. And some of them were put together, like the and so, but so. There's a lot of repetitions too. And that's one of the things that I have fallen prey to over 2020 is these soft repetitions. And by soft, I mean, they aren't necessarily and, but more, much quieter, an and, or an almost indistinguishable, but they're certainly there. Just an opportunity for improvement in 2021 is all I can say. In terms of grammarian, I didn't capture anything that I will identify as an opportunity for improvement, but there were two things that I liked. One, and this won't be a surprise to anybody, is Mary, I thought it was real creative, your ET come home or ET phone home. And Kelly, I also like how you referred to the Electric Toasters as a wonderful, rich environment. I felt that was very appropriate and somewhat uplifting as we move into this new year. That's what I have. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thanks, Ron. And finally, James, could you give us the timer report?
Yes, Mary, your speech came in at 3 minutes, 38 seconds. Kelly, you were at 5 minutes, 8 seconds. Matt, your table topics was 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Mine also was 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Steve, you came in at 2 minutes, 18 seconds. Lloyd, your evaluation was 2 minutes, 57 seconds. And Mary's, yours was 2 minutes, 39 seconds. And that's it. Back to you.
Thanks, James. For my evaluation of the meeting as a whole, I thought this went really well. It's a great first meeting back, very kind of uplifting with Ian's introductory monologue and some great speeches. Looking forward to this new kind of chapter for the club. I'm excited to get back into it, and this is a great way to kick it off. I think one thing I thought I'd comment on is a comment on a speech evaluation. Mary, I appreciated your comments on. I feel like with doing these speeches over video chat, we tend to sort of ignore things like the setting or what we normally call stage presence, that sort of thing, just because of we're in a little box, right? And when Kelly did a great job on those things, and then you also provided some additional quality feedback, and so I appreciate that to bring that in. That is actually one of the really important things to be doing this right now, because it is. I find that talking over, whether it's a speech or just any type of meeting, we have to figure out how to conduct ourselves in a professional manner, and it's a little different, obviously, than being in person. And so having that feedback in Toastmasters is really valuable. So I just wanted to acknowledge how I appreciated how you were able to evaluate that. And I think that's it. I think that's my general evaluation of the meeting. Thanks, everybody. I think it was a great way to kick off this new chapter for the club. I'll turn it back over to Ian.
Thanks, Matt, and the rest of the evaluation team. At this point in the meeting, there's a difference in our agenda from the joined Cascade Speakeasy Electric Toasters meeting. In the joint meeting, the Toastmaster would turn the meeting over to our club coach, Lloyd, for comments. So I'd like to propose that we do that this morning, and then also open up the meeting for some general discussion, find out if there's anything that Vicky would like to talk about regarding speechcraft, etc. Lloyd, do you have anything to say this morning?
Two quick things. One of them is that District 9, Vicky knows more about this than I do, but District 9 has launched a publicity campaign that's going to be directed toward increasing membership and whatnot. And I think there are more details coming on that later, aren't there, Vicky? Oh, okay. We're having some technical issues here.
Good morning. Yep. Youngest Toastmaster here. He's going to, we are going to be going over that, but it is geared towards the speechcraft, so it'll be interesting. Right.
So obviously the club will be able to take advantage of that. The other thing is what to do with the video. And I don't, does the Toasters have a Gmail account, club account? Does anyone know? We do, an email?
You.
Well, then it's really simple to set up a YouTube channel if that's what the group wants to do. And that's where the videos can go. That's what we do with the Cascade Speakeasy, and it can be done with this group too.
Lloyd, I can go ahead and get that started.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, back to you, I guess, Ian. It's
all right.
Well, there's a
thanks,
pause.
Lloyd. Sorry about that. I was taking some notes. Vicky, would you like to discuss anything related to speechcraft at this point, or is that forthcoming at a future meeting?
It will be forthcoming at a future meeting, but I'm just glad that everybody's here because we're going to need everybody's help in order to make it successful.
All right. Thank you. At this point, I would just like to thank everybody for getting up and making it to this meeting, especially our guest, Steve, from the Cascade Speakeasy meeting. Thank you for joining us this morning. As many have said this morning, we've got a lot of work ahead of us to recruit an additional, at least 4 additional members to meet the goals that Mary has outlined for this club. And I just want to encourage us all to think outside the box on how we can do that. Again, we're in an online platform now, so our outreach is essentially endless. We can reach all over the world, friends and colleagues that wouldn't ever have the opportunity to attend a local meeting. We have an opportunity to invite friends and family that are from outside the area just to take part and see what it's all about. I don't have any additional comments. Is there any comments from the, oh, I do. We do have to vote on our favorite speaker of the day. And that could be anybody that spoke today, whether it be a table topics or a speech. So if you'd please, I'm going to ask you to send your votes to Matt. Matt, would you please tally those votes for us? Well, Matt's tallying that. I'd like to find out if there's any additional questions or comments from the remainder of the group.
I just have a really quick thing. Mary mentioned something about the lighting. And for those of you that do a lot of Zoom meetings and you have poor lighting, like I'm actually in a room that doesn't have any overhead lighting. I have a lamp and the dining table thing on. I have this little ring light. I think you can get them Amazon or kind of wherever, but it's actually a little LED. And ooh, that's kind of creepy on the video, but it's got a little clip on it. And so you can clip it to either the top of your phone or your monitor, or if your monitor is too thick, just set up a book and you can clip it, and gives you a little bit of extra lighting. That's really helpful.
Nice. Thanks, Kelly. Matt, do we have a tally for who our favorite speaker is this morning?
Yes, that was Kelly.
Ooh.
Congratulations, Kelly. At this point, I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting adjourned. Thanks everyone for returning to the morning session of Electric Toasters, and we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone. Good job, Ian.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.